down, and with the greatest of respect to the judges, I have no qualms in saying that. My question is this, sir. Prima facie, there is no question about the facts of the case, for there has been a cash recovery of what has been reported to be a huge stash of cash. We're told 10 crore rupees. Prima facie, the CJI-led collegium, Justice Sanjiv Khanna-led collegium, has accepted the charge because it has taken penal action by transferring him back to his parent court. But the action is obviously not what was necessary in the case. My very specific question to you, therefore, is, since prima facie the facts are proved, do you feel that the Supreme Court Collegium led by Justice Sanjiv Khanna tried to underplay or conceal or sidestep the matter or brush the matter under the carpet by dealing with it among itself, hoping that the matter will not come up before the media or the court of public opinion?
See, for me, Arnab, what has been done is wrong at so many levels. So many levels. It is wrong because that is double standards. If you are convinced that there is prima facie case for an inquiry, I'm not talking of conviction, prima facie case for an inquiry because of, if you're convinced that the allegations about recovery of cash are founded enough to take some action, then the only action has to be suspension from judicial office by withdrawing judicial work and an immediate inquiry by a fair and impartial body. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a body only of judges. This was a time where they could have found an appropriate way of conducting an inquiry. Also, sunlight is the best disinfectant. If the judges had had an inquiry by a committee of 3 people, of which 1 was a judge and 2 were eminent citizens, and they had given a report exonerating the judge, it would have had great credibility. If they had indicted the judge, impeachment has to follow. There was nothing to discuss, but that's the way forward.
Impeachment how, sir?
So,
but then the matter goes. So 1 minute. So may I ask you this: in a case like this of Supreme Court, of a High Court judge accused and prima facie found guilty of an act of corruption, then should the judge not have been asked to resign, or should he have been impeached? What would the court have done? What were the options before the Supreme Court Collegium?
Let us articulate it correctly. You are suspecting that there is a strong suspicion that he's guilty of corrupt practice.
Yes.
You don't even have to go to the extent of prima facie guilt. On this, what would you have done to a civil servant?
Sacked him or suspended him?
No, you would have suspended him and ordered an inquiry.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
That's natural justice. So suspend him. How do you suspend a judge? Withdraw judicial work.
Remove him from all benches.
And order an inquiry. Now, inquiry by whom? Because give him a fair chance. If it is an inquiry only by judges and tomorrow they find that he has a good explanation for this money, what will it look like to the public? That it's an in-house job.
Yes, it would look like an in-house job without doubt, Mr.
By an
Salve.
Independent panel, you can have a judge and have 2 outsiders, 2 eminent Indians, and get an inquiry report. If a report comes by 3 people, nobody can say that this is the executive which has pressured you to get rid of a judge they don't like. Nobody can say that Supreme Court has done an operation cleanup. It will look like the judiciary applies the same standards to its own, as it rigorously insists, are applied to people in public life.
So, but then this is a case of double jeopardy. In that case, the first action is of the act of corruption of the judge concerned, Justice Yashwant Varma. But should we not be open enough and honest enough and outspoken enough to say that the second mistake is that of the sitting Chief Justice of India, Justice Sanjiv Khanna? Because he led the collegium. And he merely... So did the Chief Justice of India, current sitting Chief Justice, not make a grievous mistake by merely transferring him?
I don't mince my words. I'm sorry that the collegium has taken this kind of a decision. And I was saying it's wrong for so many reasons. One reason I have already given you, of what should have been the reaction. The second reason, what is the message you are sending? That he's not good enough for Delhi High Court, but he's good enough for Allahabad High Court. Is that not a disparagement of the Allahabad High Court?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely it is.
And I've always criticized this transfer policy on the ground. See, it is different where you said justice should appear to be clean. And therefore, if some judge has a relative in some court, you move him to another court, not because you suspect, but you say there should be no scope for allegation.
Precisely.
That's a different reason.
Yes.
But when you transfer a judge in a situation like this to another court, what are you treating the other court as, a dustbin?
So what should the Chief Justice do now, sir? What